guys, this is Carla and I'm currently here in Phuket, Thailand, in one of the places where I visit the most. So I love this place because it's equal parts luxury and equal parts rural comfort. So it's like if you want something that's like modern and you want the nice shops, the brands, if you want to go shopping, go to a nice spa, hotel, you can find that here. And if you also are in the mood the next day for something that's more laid back, you can go to the mountains or hit the beaches. And there's a lot of things that's always going on here. There's shows, there's parks and temples, and there's a lot of animal parks like bird parks, elephant sanctuaries. So it's really nice. There's lots of things that you can do here, and the islands are so beautiful. So yeah, so this is, by the way, not a travel video for Phuket, but this is a video about travel and how to make it work while you're traveling or when you're running a business when you're traveling. So in 2017, I really took it to the limit, and I visited around 7 or 8 new countries for that year. And I realized that there are a lot of things that I was still able to achieve even though when I'm not physically at my office, and even though I have also started other things and I have also been writing a lot. So in that year as well, I was able to write a book and publish it and launch it successfully. My target was exceeded on our first month of launching the book, and I was really happy about that. So with that said, I would say that I was reflecting about how much I was traveling, and now it's halfway throughout the year, and I realized that I've probably been to 1, 2, 3, like at least 5 vacations. I went to LA, I went to Las Vegas, Hong Kong, Macau, and I went to Makati a few times. And I realized that I also went to Iloilo, I went to Cebu as well. So that's still a lot of places and a lot of flights. So being in flights can slow you down. Okay, let me just say that out loud. It will really slow you down because will tire you out, and then you have to wake up at like irregular times of the day to catch a flight, to catch this taxi, to pack. It's like extra work. And then there's a lot of waiting times, lining up times. There's a lot of times when you think that you can't do anything. And you feel at first that, oh my God, I'm so much less productive. Do you notice those people after they're on a trip, they always say, oh, I gotta catch up with work. But in this video, I'm gonna tell you how to travel while also putting a lot of things for your work, for your business, and how to be super duper productive even when you're on the run to your next flight, to your next road trip, and to the next country on the other side of the world. I remember last year, I remember in 2017, I also was able to hit my highest record sales when I was in Canada, and I spent a month there, and that was my biggest sales month ever. I wasn't even in the Philippines. I wasn't in my office. I was just, of course, putting in work, and I was just managing my team from afar. So that was a huge thing for me, and that was like my wake-up call. And I always thought after that anything can happen, and I can still do a lot of things, and I can still be super productive when I travel. So I'm now used to traveling. I've become a very good packer. I used to pack really badly. I used to pack a lot of things, a lot of useless things, and I used to pack the clothes that I won't wear anyway. So I'm better at that now. Another thing that I improved is I become more conscious with time, and I became more conscious about always being ahead. So if I'm planning a trip, I'm always ahead. So I'm always like, I plan ahead, what time I need to be there, what time I need to get a cab, what time I need to book a Grab, and what time do I need to pack, what time I need to wake up. So I've always been ahead. So I got better at anticipating things and understanding things, and I got better at problem solving whenever things come whenever surprises come and you're in a totally different place. Which brings me to the third thing that I also improved by traveling a lot. I also became better at avoiding costly mistakes. So when you're traveling, at first, you will find that you will make a lot of mistakes, not just in the travel, but for your business as well. And it's gonna cost you some money. So for example, you forgot to send this, if you left this or whatever, and now you have to send it through a courier, which is gonna cost you more. Or you forgot to top up your bank or something like that, and then a check will have to clear, and then you already left, so you have to borrow from someone to deposit to that bank, and then maybe you have to pay interest or something. There's a lot of things like that. Or maybe there was a quick order and you find it difficult to pay your supplier, but then you have to deliver the item anyway. So what are you gonna do? So I became better at managing money and managing mistakes so that I don't make a lot of costly mistakes. And of course, not just for business, but travel wise. When I was traveling, during my first few travels, I would always forget about the internet connection in that area. And the outlets, oh my God, the outlets would drive me crazy. Every new country has a new electrical outlet, and then I would have to buy an adapter all the time. And I think I already bought 2 universal chargers twice just because I also keep forgetting about them. And then but I became better at that now, and thankfully my boyfriend also helps me with that. So that's another thing, travel with a smart person because they can also help you when you lose your shit, or when you kind of panic, or you lose things, or you forget things because you were just so excited about your trip, or you were catching up on a lot of work before you travel. So it's really, really difficult to avoid mistakes, but you'll get better the more you do it. But my advice for you is that traveling is good. It's costly, but it's really good for you because you get to learn a lot of new things about different cultures. And it also gives you your brain breathing time. A whole new environment gives you breathing time. And another thing that is my goal with traveling is that I also travel in the pursuit of more learning. So I also plan my vacations around masterminds or business retreats or workshops that I plan to go to. So the reason why I visited USA this year, I went to LA and Vegas, is because I was attending a big mastermind. Actually, it was a small mastermind, but it was really intense. So maybe in my head, that's why I call it big. And I attended a very, actually, it was an intimate mastermind, 10 persons only, by Perry Belcher and Roland Frazier. And it was a really life-changing mastermind for me. And that was my first time traveling somewhere that far alone. But, in my head, I was like, I'm doing this for my business, and I'm going to bring something back for my business that's going to make all of these investment back, and I'm still using the things that I learned there for my business. So I'm really happy about that. So I planned my vacation around that. The mastermind was in Vegas, so my flight was Manila, Hong Kong, LA, and then Vegas. So I told the airline that I will intentionally miss my last connection, and I'll just drop off at LA. So that's what I did, and I spent a few nights in LA, met up with some friends, went around the city, visited Hollywood. So that was really, really fun. And I also learned a lot of cool things about LA. So I'm definitely coming back. So it was really cool. Kind of expensive, but if you have something to do there, then it's worth it. There's also a lot of business masterminds in LA, so you can also check out which one fits to your liking. So yeah, that was basically how 2017 went for me. And because of all that crazy travel and all of the crazy development that I was also able to bring to my business, and growth that I was able to bring to my personal brand, and all of the new teachings that I've gathered from all of these vacations and all of these masterminds that I'm also teaching to my students in my group mentoring program and in my one-on-one coaching programs, I was able to summarize all of the good learnings about traveling and working while traveling and being productive while on the road. So I have gathered 4 tips on how you can travel and work and travel and be productive. All right, so let's start. Tip number 1 is plan ahead. Nothing beats planning. And as Stephen Covey mentioned in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So you should always plan ahead, and you should always list down as many things as you can do before you leave. So the place where you're at now is your comfort zone. So that's the place where you do your work. That's the place where you move around. That's where your contacts are. That's where your family is. And you have a lot of day-to-day things that you need to do. And you have bills, and then you have to pay people, and things like rent, and things like that. And then you have to talk to your team as well if you have a team, and then you have to talk to your clients. So before you leave, you have to list down the things that you need to arrange, or the things that you need to iron out on your area, basically, before you leave. After that, you go to your travel plans, and then you arrange the things that you need to be arranged on the trip. So it's either like you plan your car, you plan the place, you plan how you're gonna get Wi-Fi connection, you plan how your team is gonna communicate with you, you set a specific time for certain calls, things like that. So plan ahead, that's the secret, and you can never be as OC, as you can, as your mind is scared of being, is scared of being, basically. So if you're scared of being too OC, are you preparing too much? Are you wasting a lot of useless energy in this? During your first few travels, you will find that there's always something that you forget. There's always something that you miss out. So there's really not enough of planning that goes into what the right amount of planning is. So there's nothing such as too much, or just plan, and if you plan too much, then that's good. If you don't plan too much, then maybe you didn't plan enough. So plan ahead. Tip number 2 is about the place where you're staying. Stay at a place where it's convenient to everything you need. So if you're doing business while traveling, be sure that you have a Wi-Fi, you have proper phone connection, and most of all, you are close to your comforts. You're close to a mall, or if your comfort is like a Starbucks cafe, then make sure that it's easy to go there, or at least there's good coffee around the area, because I know most people love coffee, and most people start their day with coffee. Not me, I'm allergic to coffee, but I drink tea, and what I do is that I always bring tea bags with me wherever I go, because by then I would only need hot water, and then I'm good to go. So tea wakes me up in the morning, and I like working while drinking tea, so that's what I do, and I always prepare. So sometimes when you're trying to choose which place you're gonna stay, you will choose the place which is cheap, which is not so bad but good price. And sometimes you get to sacrifice the location or the distance. So I have made this mistake many times. I would choose a place that's like nice-ish but not so expensive, and then of course it was far from the comforts, and then sometimes it even cost me more, because like one time in Hong Kong when I was there, we picked a hotel that was far, and the Uber was like $20 to $30 per trip, and for me in Asia, that's kind of like super expensive. That in my city even, paying $20 for a taxi would take you like, I don't know, like 3 cities forward or something. Like that's like a 3-hour ride. But then I didn't know that Uber is so expensive there. So I had to pay that money back and forth, and the difference for the hotel was actually like $40 to get like a nice hotel in downtown. So I sacrificed that just so I can have a nice hotel, but it's not too expensive. So I realized that I should have just picked a nice hotel downtown where it's closer to my comforts, where I won't even have to wait for a taxi or an Uber. Because you know what? Another advantage with having a hotel in a good location is that if it's raining or if the weather is bad, rain or snow, no matter how much money you have and no matter how many times you call an Uber, sometimes there's just none and it will take you hours to find a car, and you don't want that situation to happen to you. So if you're close to your hotel, if it's downtown, then maybe it's easy to take a bus, a train, or some form of public transportation. In the Philippines, we have the jeepney. So there's a lot of choices, and it's easily accessible and easy to get to if you choose a place that is that fits your comforts. Another thing is that comforts is not just location, but it's also the things that make your work better, more comfortable, and makes you more productive. So get the place with the nice beds, get the place with the nice desks, get the place with good internet connection, and make sure that you check these when you check the hotels for the reviews. Make sure that they're really good, because sometimes when you're not in a good disposition, just because you're uncomfortable in the place where you're staying, you also get to sacrifice your productivity, and you might start the day with a bad mood. You don't want that happening to you. So it's just better to get a nice place and just do it for yourself. And treat yourself. You went to this vacation, and I want you to enjoy and make the most out of it, while also making the most money while you're there. So that's why I want you to be productive, and that's why I want you to remember all of these tips. All right, tip number 3. Always engage in deep work. Deep work is something that I teach all of my students in my group mentorship program, and not anymore in my one-on-one program, because they know that already, because most of the people in there are people who've graduated from the group mentoring program. So deep work is a concept started by Cal Newport. It's actually, he didn't actually start the action, or the actual concept. It just means unfiltered, unadulterated, no distractions work. It's just work. And so if your work is like you're a copywriter, you're writing in Microsoft Word and turning the internet off, so you don't want to be distracted. You turn off the TV, you turn off the music, you put your phone on airplane mode so you don't get texts, and you don't get sidetracked by random app updates or like a shopping sale like you just saw on your notifications. So a lot of people don't practice this, and a lot of people are easily distracted, and that's why they get a very small amount of work even when they spend a lot of time in it. So I would also recommend reading the book Deep Work by Cal Newport and watching his TED Talk about it. It's really, really good. When I watched the TED Talk, it changed my life. I bought the book and it changed my life. I read it again and again, and I even listen to it sometimes, the audiobook version, when I go to the gym. So it's really nice because you get to be reminded how much work you can do if you just retain your focus and discipline and just not be distracted. So when you're traveling, I swear you can work for like 1 hour every day at most, and even sometimes even like nothing. You can just do a week's worth of work within 1 day, actually, if you just if you plan ahead, and if you know what to do, and if you've anticipated what kind of week it is. Is it work heavy, or is it not too heavy, or whatever it is? So don't switch tasks. If you do deep work and if you want to multitask, don't switch tasks. Real multitasking is if you're doing 2 things at the same time, which is one thing has to be completely passive. And if you're doing 2 things at once, meaning you have to switch doing one thing so that you can do another thing, that's not multitasking, that's switch tasking. So it's just like the same as, for example, you're writing an email and then you're also working on this PowerPoint. So you change tabs and then you kind of work on it at the same time. Did you know that when you switch to a task, your brain slows down 40% because it has to start again doing this different task and being in a different disposition and focusing on different things. Whereas if you do 100% absolute deep work, you'll go faster and you'll finish faster and you'll just finish one at a time. So my tip for this is that come up with a to-do list, a short one, maximum of 5 things. 5 of the most important things that you need to do for your business that you can do in less than 1 hour. And then just do them one by one by one. Don't go on Facebook. Don't get distracted. Just do the work 100% and slowly check them off as you finish. You will see that for every item you check, you will feel a dopamine rush, which is the chemical that activates the reward center of your brain, and you will feel like, oh my god, I did something right, I achieved something, and you will feel good about yourself and you will feel good about your day, and the result is you get to enjoy your vacation better. And that's what I want you to experience. I don't want you going on a vacation half-assed. I don't want you going on your work half-assed as well. So you can actually do 2 things at the same time, which leads me to my last tip. And this is my favorite because this is the one that will really be the big punch. The big punch. That was awkward. The big punch to this video, and that is do work before you go on vacation and before you do the fun things. Meaning, if you have an itinerary tomorrow, let's say, you have a tour that starts at 8 a.m. Wake up at 5 so you can shower, you can work for 1 to 2 hours, and then your driver can pick you up at the right time. So the night before, you have to sleep early. Or you can do all of your work the night before, sleep, and then wake up for your tour. But work has to come first. And remember that you always have to do deep work, because if you do deep work and you do work first before you do the fun things for your travel, the result is you actually get to give 100% in both things. You give 100% to your work because you're doing deep work, and then you give 100% to your fun and your traveling because you know that you've already done the work and you don't need to think about that. And when you do this, you get to enjoy your vacation better. You get to have the peace of mind that you've done your work and now you can just enjoy. And at the same time, it also makes you crave and look forward to the improvements and the developments in your business when your trip is done and when you come home. So sometimes all the time, I close deals even when I'm traveling. I go on calls, I go on business calls, and I close deals even when I'm traveling. So when I come home, everything that I need to do is just related to invoicing my client, collecting my payments, and finalizing some papers for the deals, contracts, having my lawyer notarize this thing and check this contract and things like that. But basically, the grunt work has been done, and I've been doing it even I was on a vacation. So guys, it can really be done, and it's easier than you think. You see all of these digital nomads all the time. They can travel, they can go from country to country, but they can still run a successful business. And even before I was able to reach 7 figures for my business, I already have been doing this. But when I did it better, and when I actually did all of the things I shared with you and I practiced it, that's when I was able to really, really scale my businesses better. And at the same time, I even went to new ventures and started new online businesses. So that's also really good because I got to see all of these other opportunities when I was also traveling. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Tip number 1 is always plan ahead. Tip number 2 is always pick the place to stay, or a hotel or a resort or whatever, where you are near all of your conveniences. Okay, so sometimes you want to go to a place where there's no reception, that's fine, but you have to plan ahead still. All right. So tip number 3 is always engage in deep work. There's no excuses here, and there's no other way around it. And tip number 4 is always do work before you do the fun things, because this is the only way that you can enjoy both things, and you can give 100% and be 100% productive in your job or in your business, and you can also be 100% into your fun and all of the fun things in your itinerary. You can just take selfies, eat good food, get drunk, whatever. whatever floats your boat. All right, so those are my tips for travel and work and doing your business while traveling, maximizing your productivity, because I want you to be able to realize that it's not impossible, it can be done, and it's actually easier than you think. So don't forget those 4 tips, and you have anything more to add, or if you have questions, just drop them in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. I will always release new videos every month, and I will always bring something to the table for you, because this is my way of helping you guys. So all aspiring entrepreneurs and startup entrepreneurs, and even entrepreneurs who are just looking to make themselves better, all of these videos are for you, and this is my contribution to good karma. All right, so thank you so much for staying, and I hope to see you in one of my travels. Bye.